A new rumor is making the rounds that Microsoft is about to make another major acquisition for Xbox. Is it true? We're going to run down the source. And Xbox also just detailed how backwards compatibility is going to work on Series X and Series S, and how some games will double the frame rates. It's pretty impressive stuff, and let's get into it. Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. Hope everyone's having a great day, and if you guys could do me a huge favor, could you please hit that like button? If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and please share this video out on social media. It means a lot to me. Thank you guys for all the continued support. It certainly does seem that almost every single day there's something new in Xbox land to talk about, and today Microsoft detailed some of their plans regarding backwards compatibility on the Xbox Series X and S. And my favorite part about that whole article is how they're going to be doubling frame rates in select games, going from 30 to 60 frames. And the example they used was Fallout 4. Now, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on that article later in this video, because I want to talk about this article that I was sent repeatedly over the past couple days. I've received, I don't even know how many DMs, probably around 15. I can't even tell you how many times I've been tagged in a thread on Twitter about this rumor that Microsoft is close to announcing a major new acquisition. And it comes from us from GamerTweak. You can see here the title, Microsoft to announce a major new acquisition soon rumor. And the thing is, ever since Microsoft acquired Bethesda, everything seems to be on the table now. It used to be people looked at smaller studios like Ready at Dawn before they were acquired by Facebook, or Asobo, or Insomniac before they were acquired. Those type of studios were the ones to be acquired. But ever since Microsoft made that major announcement regarding that, hey, we own Bethesda now, we have Doom, we have Fallout, we have Elder Scrolls, and potentially all those games won't be on PlayStation. Now everybody's talking acquisitions. People are saying that Microsoft still has 2 more to announce. There's Sony fans out there begging PlayStation to retaliate and buy some studios to compete with Xbox. I've even seen some fans suggest that Sony should buy Take-Two to get Rockstar, even though that would be like a $30 billion purchase. Either way, the point I'm trying to make here is that rumors are flying all over the place, and I get tagged in all of these things. But this rumor actually addresses a good friend of mine, Special Ed, over at the Xbox Era. He did a podcast with Tom Warren where they talked about the acquisitions, and that is what we're going to discuss here. Now, the article over at GamerTweak says, to reveal it is an indiscretion communicated by the insider Special Ed during a podcast he conducted and held with the famous blogger of The Verge, Tom Warren. The later, in the midst of a discussion regarding the acquisition of Bethesda, said he believes that Microsoft, sooner or later, will announce a new acquisition, admitting, however, that is only a simple guess. To those words, Special Ed replied, declaring that, based on what he was told by some sources very close to Microsoft, the company would seem to be ready to conclude a new heavy purchase soon. In fact, according to the podcast host, the announcement may have been specifically chosen last as, quote, save the best part for last, end quote, before the official launch of Xbox Series X. Now, it's that last part there in quotations, quote, save the best for last, that has got people really excited, that has gotten people to DM me countless times over the past couple days being like, Rand, is this true? Rand, who could it be? People think that based on that quote, Microsoft may have purchased Sega. Maybe they've acquired Ubisoft, because save the best for last implies that it's a studio or a publisher that is bigger than Bethesda, and there's not too many options out there that are bigger than Bethesda. But you know how rumors spread. People assume this stuff is true before they even actually check the source. And you guys know that I am heavy on who is the source, where does it come from, have they been right in the past? And Special Ed of Xbox Era, he does have a pretty good track record. But I wanted to actually check out his podcast to see if he actually said the things that, quote, save the best for last, that the article says he does. Because I don't think a lot of people, when they read articles like this, actually go to the source to see if it's actually 100%. So here's the discussion that Xbox Era had with Tom Warren of The Verge regarding acquisitions.
Question, let's talk acquisition theory, because we've heard, and which is probably why we leapt on that what we found with such further, we've heard that there are at least 2 more acquisitions.
Well, I saw on Twitter, if you look at a particular shade of a controller, and then you match it up to a tweet from like a year ago, and then one from like 2 weeks ago. And if you add them all up, it becomes into the same amount.
Do I need to bust out the freaking acquisition clock of who are they gonna acquire next and see?
Just spin it. Well, what you might not know, Mr. Warren, is that if you count the number of times Aaron Greenberg scratches a hedgehog's belly, that's how many billions of dollars they pay.
To Sega.
It all comes together.
Because it's specifically a hedgehog for Sega.
Yeah, there's obviously that one. And there's a bunch more that are rumored, right?
So is there anything you can give us?
No, I haven't heard any specifics yet. If I had, they'd be on the verge.
They'd be on the verge right now. Go over to www.theverge.
We don't get those. We don't get those scoops. We get those scoops secondhand.
I feel like they're gonna announce. Like, it feels like they're gonna announce another one soon. I don't know. Like, that's just the impression I get.
Well, there is. I know there is at least one. There is at least one. I know, like, you on the rundown sheet we see the rumor mills there, but we're talking about the acquisitions anyway. So I did get told that there's definitely at least one more.
Right.
But didn't get told who it is. Just got told, there's definitely been one.
Yeah. I'm super curious just because I feel like they've obviously allocated a lot of cash towards these acquisitions, and that's like a strategic thing from Nadella down, to go out and get this content and to put it on Game Pass.
Now, I may be imagining things, but I could swear I never heard Special Ed say anything about, quote, saving the best for last regarding the acquisition. So am I to believe that the very reputable GamerTweak website actually made up a quote that somebody says and then used that as clickbait for their article to drive traffic for their website? You hate to see it. Now, regarding the actual rumor itself that Microsoft is close to acquiring 2 new studios, Special Ed said that he at least knows of one, but isn't told what studio it is. I mean, I've heard the same rumors for a couple weeks now that Microsoft is pretty close, or at least waiting to announce whatever studios they have acquired or in the process of acquiring. But with any sort of things like this, you gotta take everything with a grain of salt. It may happen, it may not happen. Microsoft could announce the acquisition of a new studio right before the launch of Series X and Series S to drive even more hype, even more excitement for Xbox in this upcoming generation. Or maybe it doesn't happen at all. That's the things with acquisitions. They can completely fall apart at any point in time for any reason whatsoever. Now, I know a small section of you guys are probably disappointed with the video. You saw the title and thought I would tell you guys what studios Microsoft are acquiring or have acquired, even though that's not really what I do on this channel. And even if I did know exactly 100% that Microsoft did acquire a new studio, I wouldn't blab about it on this channel. With that all said, do I think Microsoft is going to acquire a new studio in the future? Yes, I actually do. After Microsoft acquired Bethesda, Satya Nadella, the CEO of all of Microsoft, said they weren't done buying studios. So yes, at some point in the future, maybe before the launch of the console, or maybe sometime next year, or maybe sometime in 2022, Microsoft will once again acquire some studios. The only question is when and who it will be. Now, moving on to talk about backwards compatibility, Microsoft put out a blog post on the Xbox Newswire that basically said, hey, games will play best on Xbox Series X and Series S. Backward compatible games run natively on the Xbox Series X and S, running with the full power of the CPU, GPU, and SSD. No boost mode, no downclocking, the full power of the consoles for each and every backwards compatible game. And yes, if you guys were wondering, that is a direct shot at the PlayStation 5 for how it does backwards compatibility. This means that all titles run at the peak performance that they were originally designed for, with significantly higher performance than their original launch platform, resulting in higher and more steady frame rates and rendering at their maximum resolution and visual quality. Backwards compatible titles also benefit from significant reductions in load times due to the massive leap in performance from our custom NVMe SSD at the heart of the Xbox Velocity architecture. Now, you guys know I've talked about backwards compatibility a lot on this channel. It's a feature that I don't really see myself using very much, but it's also a feature that I am happy it is there. I own a ton of games on the Xbox One, something like over 2,000. And it does bring me some comfort knowing that all my purchases I've made on the Xbox ecosystem these past couple generations are going to be recognized and move forward with me to the Xbox Series X generation. But the great thing about Xbox backwards compatibility is that it just works. When you move to the Xbox Series X, all your digital purchases will be there in your game library. You can just put a physical disc into the console and you can play it. And because Microsoft has free cloud saves for everybody on Xbox One, your save data from Xbox One will move forward with you to the Xbox Series X. So if you're playing something like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you can pick up exactly where you left off on the Xbox Series X. And because the Series X and Series S uses the full power of the CPU, GPU, and the SSD, that game is going to load faster, that game is going to look better, and it's going to have much steadier frame rates. Now, one of the new features that Microsoft is introducing is something called Ardo Hdr, and this is what they said. However, thousands of Xbox games shipped before HDR was first introduced with the Xbox One S, and even for some Xbox One games, developers simply didn't have the development resources or time to implement HDR. With Xbox Series X and Series S, we are introducing a new feature named Auto HDR. Auto HDR automatically adds HDR enhancements to games which only shipped with SDR. Auto HDR enhances the visual quality of an SDR game without changing the original artistic intent of the game. Auto HDR is implemented by the system, so developers don't have to do any work to take advantage of this feature. Also, since Auto HDR is enabled by the console's hardware, there's absolutely no performance cost to the CPU, GPU, or memory, and there's no additional latency added, ensuring you receive the ultimate gaming experience. The below images show how Auto HDR can improve the visual quality without changing the overall look of the game. The HDR images are brighter and more colorful only in the natural expected areas, while the rest of the image retains its original intent. And see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. A brand new feature that is going to be implemented, giving HDR to games that never had it. And trust me, if you have a TV that can display it, like I do with an OLED TV, HDR absolutely is a game changer. You can look at the images here on screen between Subnautica and Fusion Frenzy, and you can see how the HDR image definitely pops more. The colors are a little bit more vibrant than their SDR counterparts. Now, one of the coolest features of backwards compatibility that Microsoft is providing is the new technology to double frame rates. Says Xbox Series X and Series S bring next-gen performance to your favorite games. Higher, steadier frame rates make games feel smoother, resulting in more immersive gameplay. Many improvements are the result of the custom-designed processor that allows compatible games to play and leverage the increased CPU, GPU, and memory from the new consoles. In addition, however, the backwards compatibility team has developed new methods for effectively doubling the frame rate on select titles. While not applicable for many titles due to the game's original physics or animations, these new techniques the team has developed can push game engines to render more quickly for a buttery smooth experience beyond what the original game might have delivered due to the capabilities of the hardware. Fallout 4 frame rate, shown below, is effectively doubled from 30 frames to 60 frames per second on the Series S, delivering a new way to preserve and enjoy this legendary title. Now, to me, this feature is by far the most exciting. Taking a game that was locked at 30 frames, and through no effort by the developers whatsoever, the team at Microsoft and the emulator that they're using for the Xbox Series X to run Xbox One games can basically unlock that frame rate and double it to 60. Now, Fallout 4 is a great example, so the fact that it's going to be a much smoother experience on Series X at 60 frames is exciting. And in my mind, there's one title that I really wanted to experience in 60 frames, and that is something like Red Dead Redemption 2. If Microsoft went into that game and said, here, Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Series X is going to run not only at native 4K, because it runs at native 4K on the Xbox One, but also it's going to be 60 frames too, that would be such a huge moment for backwards compatibility and doubling frame rates on the console. Now, the article also mentions that if you're still playing on the Xbox 360, then cloud saves will soon be available for free to you. So if you're making the jump from 360 to Series X and you want to continue your games on the Series X, you'll be able to upload your save games for free and then download them again on the Xbox Series X. So make sure you guys let me know what is your favorite part about the whole backwards compatibility program. Is it Auto HDR? Is it the doubling of frame rates? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Share this video out on social media or tell a friend about the channel. Hit that notification bell if you want to be notified right away whenever I drop a video like this. If you want to take your support for the channel even further, you can hit the join button where you will get access to channel badges and emotes for the Xbox 2 podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching, each and every one of you that take the time out of your day to do so, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.